Hey, what's going on, guys? YouTube family, rules to the game. I am your host, Sigma Lenny. What I'm going to talk about with y'all is influence. Influence, how does that apply to the game? Influence is very important. Influence is being able to capture others' attention with something of interest. So how do you do that? First, it will have to be something that you feel others would like. And it doesn't have to necessarily be just one individual. It can be the masses, right? For instance, how does influence apply to dating, right? It applies in a big way, and the way it does apply is when someone has an influence or influential, people can tell that, and they will gravitate to that person because of their influence. And a lot of the time, it's not based on who that individual really is, if that makes sense. Just to give you an example, women tend to go for guys who have influence. A lot of the time, guys who have an influence are able to obtain women on a higher scale. They are able to obtain professional women. They are able to obtain women with a high intellect. They are able to obtain women with incredible intelligence. They are able to obtain women who are not only just beautiful, but beautiful from the inside out. Because influence plays a very big factor. For an example, you look at some of your CEOs at Fortune 500 companies. They get women that throw themselves literally at these guys. Same thing with famous people. People who are famous have a famous status quo. They are able to obtain many, many women. Athletes, even like, for instance, let's just take it to school, right? In school, and women, they speak for this as well. Back in high school, let's start high school. You will always see like the guys who were like basketball players, football players, soccer. They will always be getting the chicks, right? You will always see them on the, walking the halls with multiple women. Always seem to always have a date when it comes to like senior prom or junior prom. They always seem to have a woman by their side because of their status. Now, for who they are comes later, but the bait is their influence. Their influence is based on what they engage themselves in, right? And how they use that as a tool to be able to lure people in to their circle. That's how they're able to have such a high impact when it comes to the dating world. And it can start from any level. Any level. My 11-year-old son can do the same in his grade. It's influence is so impactful that a lot of the time people who lack in other areas, just because they have a high influence, they can catapult themselves into spaces that many people can't even get to be quite honest with you. Even in some of your high prestigious careers, and you'll say, hey, how did this person get this job? How is that possible? They don't have the credentials, they don't have the certs, they don't have the degree. A lot of times they don't even have the experience. And you wonder, how do they get that? Rules to the game. Influence. And just to add on to that too, influence doesn't always apply with what you're engaging in either, to be honest with you. It can come from just the way you speak to people. If you speak to people in such a way that you're able, it's basically, it goes along with charisma. Like, if you have that charm and you can charm people into getting what you want, your influence is impactful, and you're going to be able to obtain things in life that you never thought was possible. I know some people who started from ground zero and literally went to a 100 real quick. Literally. I mean, I know people who were making like between 30 to 45,000 a year and ended up making six figures in a matter of a few years, and was able to achieve that based on their influence. Literally. People love influence. They are gravitated to that. It is something that people need. Because, see, the thing is, in the general public, everyone has their own stereotype of people. They have their own stereotype, how they judge people. Everybody judges people. That's a universal thing. Even if they don't mean it to be negative, people still judge people. Okay, they'll say, "Oh, this person might be at the bottom of the totem pole. This person might be a person I don't even want to associate myself with," and kind of find out, if you were to give them the chance, they'll be your best friend or your lifesaver. Like, literally. That is rules to the game, man. Influence is a very impactful thing. A lot of people seem to sleep on that concept, when influence is influencing you every day. When you go out in the public and you just meet people on the fly, and you see someone working, and you're like, you know what, I was always wondering, how do you get into that industry? And you go and speak with that person, and this person speaks to you, and like, oh yeah, you can go ahead and apply, and I can get you in, man, and the job is easy. It's easy. It's very simple. Anyone could do it, right? They're influencing you right then and there. That's influence. And this is how, forget what women say when it comes to, they want a man with six figures. They want a man that drives a Benz. They want a man that got a big fancy house. They want a man that can take care of the kids at home. They want a man that's, 6'1" or 6'2". They want a man with a long pipe game. Listen, man, at the end of the day, Okay? Women want men with influence. At the end of the day, forget everything they say. I'm telling you, women want men with influence. That's why they go for, rappers. Let me tell you something, man. There's some rappers of today being talked about that if they weren't a rapper, they would not be given the time of day. With a lot of these, what they call quote unquote super hot models and stuff like that. They would not give them the time of day. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care if they sit up there and be like, yeah, if I wasn't a rapper, I'll still be able to pull a bitch. I'll still be able to. Listen, bro. To be quite honest with you, you probably wouldn't even be in the vicinity of these women. See, women is like, I hate to say it, man. The game is kind of like, it's really truly like Pokemon, man. I mean, I know I know some of you guys be like, what is he talking about? Pokemon. If you played a Pokemon game, one of the goals is to get yourself to certain areas where you're able to capture certain types of Pokemonsters, right? If you put yourself in a certain area, you gotta get to certain levels, but you put yourself in a certain area, a certain grassy land or near water and stuff like that, you'll be able to catch a certain type of species. Some of those species are higher class and some of a lower class, depending upon where you place yourself, right? Just same concept. If you place yourself with high influence into certain areas, certain geographical locations, you'll be able to attain different people with different stature that will ultimately put you in a greater chance of achieving someone with better qualities and better attributes for you to lead, into whatever position or objective you're trying to achieve. Okay? That's really what it's all about. You want to be able to have influence. You can definitely obtain influence on basically looking at yourself and see, who am I? Answer that question. Who am I? What do I have to bring to this world? And everybody has something to bring to the world. Whether it be something that maybe a lot of people just don't consider to be sexy, right? It might not be that, right? But I guarantee you there's a mass group of people out there that's interested in what you have to bring. If you are an artist, right? Whatever craft you have, that can bring a certain stature of people to you, right? That's an influence. That's a level of influence. You're influencing people through your artwork. For instance, let's say you do shows, right? And you have shows where people come to, they gather, and they look at your artwork. And you're there, you're explaining your artwork to people. That's influence, right? And after you finish your artwork, it might be some young lady or whatever come up to you and say, hey, I want to be able to, talk a little bit more about your artwork here. This is very impressive. This is impressive. This is incredible you have here. Incredible work. Be like, oh, you really like it? Be like, yeah, I really do like it, right? And, you may say, hey, would you like to grab a drink sometime? Or, well, don't say drink, because drink is going, that's going to mean something different. Say, would you like to grab lunch sometime? Okay? Would you like to grab lunch sometime? And then y'all can talk it over. And this might be a young lady, that might rock your socks off. You never know. But you were able to encounter that interaction based on your influence through your artwork. And the same thing applies to every other industry as well. Every other industry, even construction, right? Construction, you might go to a construction class, honing your skills, trying to gain more skills and qualities through your work. You might meet, and especially now and nowadays, because you got Me Too movement and stuff like that. But and nowadays you have females that's attending some of these sessions, and some of them are still ladylike, even though they do what we consider quote unquote, hard men labor. But a lot of women are entering these industries, and mainly they're entering these industries for the bag. So they still have some feminine traits. They're just going because either someone influenced them, back to influence, someone influenced them to get into the industry and said, hey girl, you need to go and apply for that construction job. They making 6 figures. You can make $50 an hour if you go and get your SIT and your OSHA certification, all these different certifications, and you can go ahead and make $50 an hour. I'm telling you, I know a guy that can put you in, get you in the class, right? So she's basically influencing her. She goes into the program and she's in there. You might cross paths with her based on you being in that program. And you influence her based on how productive you are in that class. So you might be answering every question, or you're asking a lot of questions. You're really inquisitive. Your curiosity is high. She might be attracted to that. She might be like, oh, this guy really is into this class. I kind of like him. I want to, maybe kind of, buddy up with him, right? To basically help improve herself, which, goes back to hypergamy. Women practice hypergamy, which is basically going up, dating up, not dating downward, right? So it's on an upward trend, but it still works out because you're able to see what she has to offer, right? And you can maybe provide value to her as well as she can provide value to you. So it's a trade-off thing. But influence is very important, man. That is key in rules to the game. Be able to work on your influence. How impactful can you be? How influential can you be to the public, whereas you increase your chances of encountering an interaction with women or just people in general that can help you fulfill your goals, dreams, hopes, and aspirations. All right, guys. This is Sigma Lenny. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.